And Jean, I just want to ask you about your personal story here. It's pretty interesting, did a little background reading on it, and how you came to found your company and what you're doing.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and to talk a little bit about how I, got to the process of launching Konexio, because I didn't see myself as a social entrepreneur to begin with, but I actually came through a more academic route. I was doing a Fulbright fellowship at the Paris School of Economics, and it was through the research on the ground that I was doing, field interviews and other types of studies, that I realized that there was kind of upfront services that were, targeted to housing or food or shelter, or different types of very basic needs that were being met, but not services helping people to really become integrated in the long term, which was for me skills and jobs. And that's how Konexio got started, helping to really train the most vulnerable for the future of work, the skills that we need, a lot of the changing dynamics of our labor market. And so this is where we see ourselves positioning ourselves to meet the new trends in the labor market with talent that are diverse, that are motivated, and can really bring a lot to our future.
Jean, walk us through how Konexio works. How do you identify the need, and what does that skills program look like?
Yeah, so at Konexio, we have different ranging skills programs that go very much from the basics. So very, basic targeted, almost literacy skills. And we work with, different partners. So the partners that source our students to really be able to identify the needs of our students. We place them, we do an initial diagnostic assessment, and then we place them on a range of modules that can really go from the digital literacy building blocks up to very advanced boot camp, training in terms of development web or other professions that lead to, cloud or cybersecurity experts. So we really run the full gamut of the digital skills spectrum. And our goal is also to work really in tandem with employers and companies. So the idea is that at the end of the training and almost throughout, we work with companies to really identify those who really would like to seek out our talent. We work with them to also, prepare for their interviews. And so, amongst our recruiters today, we have startups in the local ecosystem up to, big corporate partners who have welcomed our talent into their fields.
Well, just following up on that, I had across the other day, Elon Musk, Tesla. He says, you don't need a college degree to come work for Tesla. Just come in, we'll train you. Is this the kind of situation that you're talking about? And how much does it matter to form high-profile partnerships? Because, you work with Tesla or Ford even, or one of the big Fortune 500 companies, that gets you some ink in the header in the papers. So exactly what does that larger strategy look like?
Yeah, so I think for us, and I think it's a big question today, do we really need, a certain level of education, a certain diploma, or is, the future of work really trending on the skill sets that we have? I think something we really value at Konexio is thinking about how do we build, well-rounded individuals in both tech, the hard and the soft skills, and really prepare for them to not only, successfully integrate into companies, but to also evolve and really adapt. And so I think, thinking about, our high-profile partnerships, we work with companies like Google, like L'Oreal, who've given their trust in us to be able to work with our students, with our talent. And I definitely do have to say that, for a company like Google, who really also values more how you do in the interviews, not, what university you came from, not what kind of diploma you bring, I think valuing the skill set of the students on kind of the pure meritocracy is something that is really important, and I think should be valued moving forward as well.
Jean, a lot of your work is focused in developing countries. How do you look at the economic value that's actually being unlocked as you bring more and more people into the workforce?
Yes, so thank you so much for asking that question. So today we work in Europe, and then we also started developing one of our first programs. Actually, we piloted in 2019 with UNHCR, the UN department that works really with the refugee and displaced persons population. And for us, what was really important about this program was to be able to work in the most resource-constrained environments. So we work on the ground in Jaleka refugee camp of about 40,000 inhabitants, and these are individuals individuals that do not have access to work opportunities. And so what we're able to do with our local partners on the ground, including JRS, Jesuit Refugee Service, is to train them on our digital basic learning track and then really get them access to the freelance, the gig economy, where they're able to tap into the global markets, really compete and bid globally and able to earn work that way. So I think what is really important about this is we're looking at more than 80 million displaced persons globally. With climate change, with a lot of the big trends that are going to be coming in the future, this is not a problem that's going to go away. It's going to be here to stay, and it's only going to amplify. And so I think the big problem that we see, that a lot of these big humanitarian agencies see, is how do we work on livelihood? How do we work on sustainability? These big questions of how do we, think about not just giving aid and shelter, but how do we also help people help themselves on their own terms? And so I think that's what really we come in, is really to bring in the skills learning part, but also to really connect them with learning opportunities.